Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. My name is Teddy Nguyen. I'm a content designer here at ArenaNet. Person driving today is Jake Miller. He's one of our QA on the Southsun team. Thanks for everyone for coming. A little bit about myself before we start. I've been a content designer here for about 3 years. I worked on the personal story, Fractal, Southsun, World vs. World, bunch of stuff now. So one of the things to say before we get started is we know that a few of you haven't been able to get your reward chests. This was just due to some timing on when we released the patch. We're working on it. We're going to try and get that fixed for you before this thing's over. The other big question I keep on getting is how long is this fight here for? The answer is 2 weeks, so don't worry if you can't make it today. You've got any time in the next 2 weeks to do it. So Jake's going to be doing the single-player version of this fight. And a little bit about this. One of the big pieces of feedback we got from Flame and Frost was some people were frustrated that you could only do it, the story in a 5-player group. And that's not really what we want. We want as many players to be able to experience it as possible. But at the same time, we want to be able to provide interesting multiplayer challenges for people. So the solution I came up with for this is the story content. There's a single-player version, which Jake is doing right now. And I should say, there will be spoilers. So if you don't want the content spoiled, go to another website, I guess. So the single-player version gates the multiplayer version. The single-player version is where most of the story is told. It's fairly easy, and it's designed just to deliver the story to you. Once you do the single-player version, you unlock the multiplayer version. Multiplayer version is geared towards 5 players, and it's intended to be very difficult. We'll be doing that immediately after this. And I should say, this is in the live environment. We're not cheating or anything, so if we stumble a little bit, just bear with us. This is how you'll actually play it. So, single-player Canach. As you can see, Jake's picked up a mine detector. And this is one of the most important mechanics of this encounter. As you can see, there's mines all over the room. There's 3 types. There's explosive, caltrops, and gas mines. The goal is to try and disarm those mines to proceed. There's 3 disarm skills that correspond to each mine. So the way it works is you can't tell what mine it is just looking at it. You have to use the scan skill, which Jake is doing, and that pops an icon over each of the mines. When you see that icon, it corresponds to one of the disarm types. And if you disarm an explosive trap with the disarm explosives, it will disarm the mine and then rearm it on your side. And that turns it green. This is a very important part of the fight. So we try and teach you this in this area where there's no enemies. If you use the wrong disarm, if you use disarm gas on an explosive mine, the mine would detonate, and if you're nearby, it would do damage. So as I said, some spoilers. You fight Canach here. He's the villain, as you've probably gathered by now. Go ahead and engage him, Jake. So Canach is completely impervious to damage. If you watch Jake's chat, actually, I think I'm covering Jake's chat, but one of the things we've been playing with are better ways to message important mechanics in fights. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of effects, so sometimes the visual messaging is not clear enough. So what we're doing for this fight and for fights moving forward is important mechanic will be messaged actually via text, and we'll just call out, Canach's using a special ability, watch out for it. So one of the things here is Canach is completely immune to regular just attacks. You can't hurt him at all. So what you actually have to do to defeat him, as you can see Jake struggling to do, is disarm mines and drag him over him, and you basically use his own weapons against him to defeat him. The goal of Canach is, because it's a story fight, we don't want to make this incredibly difficult, because we want pretty much everyone who does this to be able to do it, but at the same time we want to make an interesting fight. So that's why we went with this mechanic for Canach. Canach himself, he gets away from some of the mistakes we've made in the past with bosses, to be perfectly honest. He doesn't hit very hard with his basic attacks. In fact, his melee is not really going to kill you unless you take an excessively long time to fight him. What's dangerous about him is he has an ability like he just used where he detonates all the mines in the room. This is clearly messaged. So if you are standing near a mine when he uses that, you'll probably die. He also can knock you into mines with a shield charge. And this is kind of the design we're going for with bosses moving forward. their basic attacks should never one-shot you. They should never do excessive damage. It should be the mechanics of the fight that are a challenge. So as you can see, Jake's whittling them down with mines. Again, live environment, so we don't have access to cheat commands, so this is going to take as long as it takes Jake to actually do it. No pressure, Jake. So Canach is the villain of Southsun, and you have access to him in this third week of the release. Our game plan right now, as you probably gathered, is to try and create a living world where the story progresses week to week, and we constantly put out new things to move the world forward, just to make it feel like there's something always happening. So fighting Canach is the conclusion of all the events in Southsun so far. And there's more to it after you beat Canach, but that will unlock as time progresses. So Jake's now defeated Canach. He's got the rewards. This is, if you're one of those people who didn't get rewards, this is what you'll be getting. We will fix this for you, I promise. So some story bits after you defeat him. Keel comes in, arrests him. You find out there's a bigger plot. So anyways, now that Jake's finished with that, he's going to switch characters. This is level 20. Again, we want this content to be accessible to as many players as possible. So you hadn't noticed, Jake's actually sidekicked up to 80. So, I mean, if you're like a low-level character, you're still leveling up, we still want you to be able to do this because, we want the story to be for everyone. So if you come to Southsun, you'll be sidekicked up, and you can do this content. Jake's going to switch to his level 80 as soon as this is over. Since the repeatable version is intended to be very difficult, we're going to try and stack it in our favor. Do you want to go ahead and switch, Jake? So anyways, on his lovely Christmas Sylvari, Jake's going to try the multiplayer version of this. So Canach has been a design we've been working on for quite a while, and so is the repeatable version. We're trying to move in a direction of our design where boss fights give you a different set of challenges than the type of challenges you have when you just fight regular guys. When you fight regular guys, it's more about being able to dodge roll, avoid attacks, and hit the guy back. We want boss fights to be more involved in that. We want them to be something you learn how to do, and we want them to have some puzzle-like elements to them. So in this repeatable version, you're actually going after Subdirector Null, who is a play on another character in the game. You can probably figure that one out. So the Subdirector Null fight is it's based on mechanics that you learn in the Canach fight. And then there are many more elements stacked on top of that. But the idea is every time you do these encounters, you learn more and more about how you actually beat them until you hit that critical point where you understand what the strategy is, how you're supposed to fight them, and you kill them that way. Because learning is like one of the most satisfying things of a boss fight. And the more there is to learn, the more there is for you to discover. So Jake's got his group now. The team Jake's playing with is the QA group team. And again, live environment. This is actually a very hard fight, so no promises as to whether or not they'll actually be able to do it. Again, no pressure, Jake. No one's watching you do this. So there's more, as you probably noticed, there's more mine detectors than one. And everyone can pick up a mine detector potentially. It's up to you guys to figure out what is the right mix for you, whether or not you want everyone to have a mine detector for this fight, or whether or not you want like one person on mine duty. So Subdirector Null is not Canach, so expect some things carry over, but be ready for new mechanics. He is not immune to damage off the bat like Canach was. Instead, he is resistant to mine damage. He's learned from Canach's mistakes. And the mines are instead used to deal with one of his key mechanics, which he'll use in a moment here. He'll put a bubble up on himself that makes him immune to damage. At this point, he must be dragged over a mine to remove the bubble to continue damaging him. One of the more devastating things, just like Canach, is he will activate all the mines in the room. And if you're standing on one, you're probably going to die. Subdirector Null can be looked at as a 3-phase boss fight, with each phase adding elements to the fight that linger until the end, so it escalates in difficulty as you progress through it. So as you can see, this first phase, not too hard. He's got basically the basic melee attack that does a little bit of damage. He's got a pull, which he can use to pull you over a mine, you should watch out for. He's got a charge, just like Canach, which will knock you back. When they get him to 75%, he will transition to the next phase, and that's when things get a little bit more dicey. Again, the goal of this is not necessarily to make a fight that is easy. This fight's meant to challenge you, so this will be pretty difficult. So as you can see, at 75%, he has unleashed these sparks of rampant energy. They run around the room, and if they run over you, they're going to pulse AoE on you and do a lot of damage. So now you've got a lot more things to watch out for. If those things run over you, you're probably going to die. But at the same time, if you run away from them blindly, you're probably going to run onto a mine and die. So this is going to require a lot of situational awareness from a group. But again, one of the things we want mechanics to be entirely avoidable if you're skilled. Like, these attacks, while devastating, are entirely dodgeable. There's nothing that will just come up and one-shot you, which is something we really want to get away from. So when he gets to 50% health, it will transition into the second phase. And as you can see, there's some orbs flying and hitting Null. What that is he spawns healing turrets all around the room. These repair turrets will constantly shoot orbs at him that will heal him. As Jake's doing right now, you need to designate some people to go destroy the turrets to keep him from regenerating too much health. And the sparks are still around from the first phase. So again, this is a mechanic you're going to have to deal with for the entire fight, and gets pretty dicey after these things stack up. And again, this is more a preview of the boss. You guys are totally welcome to find your own ways of beating this guy. This is more just to show you what the mechanics are like. As you can see, the group team is trying to keep Null in an area that's relatively light from spark damage. There's some sparks coming up to them now, so they're going to have to move and adjust. But if you can keep them away, you're definitely a lot safer. So now that they've gotten to 25% health, he enters the third phase of the fight. He puts a buff on everyone called Electrolyze. This is a stacking dot. Initially, it does a little bit of damage, not a terrible amount. But every 30 seconds, he'll put another stack of it on you, and these linger for the duration of the fight. You cannot remove these in any way. So this is basically a burn phase. As you can see, the group team's doing a pretty good job of taking him down quickly. If you're slow in this phase, Electrolyze will eventually stack to the point where it just kills you. And like just happened to Jake. So the group team is doing a pretty good job taking this guy down. This is intended to be a very difficult encounter, so you guys have trouble with it at first, just keep on trying. Again, it's a fight we want you to learn. And it's the kind of thing we're going for in the future. More puzzle-like fights with mechanics that challenge you in other ways than simply dodging attacks. So now that Jake's finished up, you can see there's 2 rewards. There is the bouncy chest for doing it for the first time, and then there's also another chest with rewards that you get every time you beat him. The goal for this one is, find a group of, friends that are very skilled, and come here and try it. And if someone else needs help, you're still going to get rewards for doing it again. So it's also an achievement for beating Null and Canach. If you're particularly skilled, there's an achievement for beating Canach and Null without stepping on any of the traps. That one is super tricky, so I'd be very impressed at players that can actually pull that one off. So this has been a bit of a short live stream. We're primarily focusing on the boss fight this week. There'll be more coming in the very near future. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed this, and good luck with Southsun. Have a lot of fun.